We will be bringing you incredible interviews with inspiring STEM pioneers leading the way in industry, government, academia, and around the world. And now, please welcome our next guest.
Hi, I'm Dr. Aria Jones, Doctor of Strategic Leadership and Strategic Foresight. I'm a futurist, transformational change agent, author, speaker, and educator. I'm the CEO and principal solutionist of Aria Organizational Development Solutions, a management consulting firm specializing in organizational development, leadership development, and operational improvement solutions. Over the last 2 decades, I've served multinational and global corporations in the healthcare, financial services, and tech industries. I'm passionate about using strategic foresight and systems thinking to improve individual and organizational outcomes.
I love it. So in looking at it, what was going on to make you stop doing what you were doing and start your own business?
Well, that's a good question. Thank you for asking that. And basically, it was a situation where my own business chose me. So I was working a full time corporate job. And then in the recent late 2022 layoffs, I was a part of that number. And that just really like lit the fire up under me. I had the business already going, but I wasn't really putting all my energy into it. And so when the layoff happened, it was like God saying, "All right, now what you gonna do now?" And
In
so
this.
yeah. And so then I picked it up and ran with it.
So let's talk about this. I'm loving this consulting, organizational development, and I'm going to break it out because what does that really mean, organizational development?
Organizational development can mean a lot of things. So for me, I tried to use a broad term such as organizational development so that my clients could feel that whatever your problem is, I can sit by you and hold your hand and help you solve it. So if that means literally developing your business, or if that means developing your business processes or improving your business processes, or if that means leadership development or HR development or anything like that.
But each one of those are silos,
They could
right?
be.
And let's speak to each one of those silos. I want to make certain that you can hear me, and I have to put the microphone up to my lips.
I can hear you.
So, but they are individual silos. And let's talk about those and how we break them out. You have put them together as a business model, but they are all individual businesses, or could be,
They could be.
right? So would you mind sharing with us each one of those aspects so we get a better understanding of what
Yes.
you do?
Yes. So as a consultant, I decided to go into consulting because of the education and the excitement about the education that I was getting when I was getting my doctorate degree. So my doctorate is in strategic leadership and strategic foresight. So a doctorate in strategic leadership is not a PhD. It's more so practical. It's made for professionals who are going to be out there in the field helping with real world problems in real time.
In leadership, okay, put that right there. In leadership, what does that really look like? And how do you deploy that kind of information to a community of people?
The number one thing that I push to everyone that I get a chance to push it to is the importance of mindset shifts. We have to change our mindsets to understand that the things that we are doing or not doing today will affect our tomorrows. So I preach and I teach you have to change your mindset. You have to change the way you're looking at things. The way you're looking at things today is the reason why you have the problems that you have today. Everybody's got some kind of problem. So when I'm helping people solve their problems or resolve any issues, I try to help people to flip upside down the way that they're looking at things. Think of things in the opposite way that you currently think of it. And it's not to say that what you're thinking is wrong, it's just to challenge yourself to think differently. Open your mind, broaden your horizons, because there are things that you're not seeing things that you're not considering, and these are the things that are the keys to success in most cases.
And so when you look at and break down those silos, how do you know what comes first, the chicken or the egg?
We have to do something called, it's not necessarily value mapping, but basically we do exercises to try to determine which problem is the most valuable to solve. Let's say you have a whole bag of issues. Okay, you can't deal with all 50 of them at the same time and be effective at solving them. So which one will bring the most value if I solve that one first?
So it's
So that's what we do.
prioritizing
Prioritizing is
and
essentially
doing
what
an
it is.
analysis of the priority. Because how do you even know what should go first versus what might should not?
One way is to look at the value that the resolution will bring, and another way is to look at the other problems or the other, let's say, effects of your actions. Because while you're solving a problem, you're going to take action, right? And we all know, or we all should know, that every action has a reaction, turns into a chain of reactions, right? So we need to think about, okay, if we do this, then these things could happen, these things could happen, these things could happen. Are we okay with all those things? Or do we need to be ready to mitigate those risks?
All of those issues
Mhm.
that surround that, because it's also created a void while you're doing that analysis.
Also,
And so because there's a void because you're working on something else, but if you haven't connected them, then there's a void.
Okay, so I'm glad you said that.
Okay.
So one of my favorite strategic foresight tools. Last time we talked 2 years ago, I talked to you about strategic foresight. That's my forte. And one of my favorite strategic foresight tools is called causal loop diagrams.
What?
Causal loop diagrams. And it's not as complex as it seems. It's literally you write on a piece of paper, okay, here's what is happening. And then here's what happened because of that. You draw an arrow. Here's what happened because of that. You draw another arrow. Here's what happened because of that. So now you have a loop. But as you sit there and you look at it and you think about what's on that loop, you can look at each one of those things and say, these are some more things that could happen because of this, and because of that, and because of that. And before you know it, you have a whole map that you can visibly look at with your eyes and see, oh, we didn't think about that. We need to make sure we're dealing with that.
And so what you're also doing is putting a basic description of each one of those elements that you can either connect or decouple.
Yes, and typically the goal of using causal loop diagrams is to show the interrelatedness of everything and show how things can affect one another or be affected by other elements that might be in a different loop.
Okay.
So,
And so with what you're doing, what type of clients are you working with? What types of industries, I guess?
So typically, I have dealt with the healthcare industry, financial services industry, tech industry, but lately I am broadening my horizons and I'm helping nonprofits, I'm helping small businesses, like local small businesses, and just being open to if I have the bandwidth to help you when you ask me, I'll help you.
I love it. So when you talk about bandwidth, which is real serious, especially when you're doing something like this, because now you're doing the analysis, and you have to be very analytical to deal with all of that. How do you bring that all together to move to the next level of your goals and objectives?
I try to simplify things as best I can because typically when we deal with problems, whether as an individual or as an organization, a problem can seem bigger than it is. Not saying that there are not some big problems. There are some big problems.
Right.
I'm just saying that whenever we have a big problem, let's take a bite of it.
Yeah.
And let's deal with that bite.
To chew on it for a minute.
Yeah. But at the same time, we talked about the causal loop diagram. So we have a map. We get to see that this is a big problem. We're not forgetting about all the parts that we have not taken a bite of yet. We're just focusing on the most valuable bite at the time.
Okay. Ariel, doctor. Thank you for joining us. And we're glad that you're here and that we're seeing you again. And we're in person. Yes, we are too. And you're going to be here for the weekend?
I'll be here tomorrow. I'm speaking in a session in the morning for first-time managers.
Okay, great.
8:15 a.m.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. I gotta go.
Thank you.
Take care.